Bart Kok from Connec2, showing how organizations across different sectors from infrastructure, construction, utilities own their full XR workflows. Bart.
Thank you for having me. So, my name is Bart Kok and I'm product owner at Connec2. I'm not sure if we have a lot of Dutch speakers in the room, if you can raise your hand. A few. Because what I like to do is what they call in Dutch, vloeken in de kerk, which means going upstream and doing the things that people normally want to hear. And what that is I truly believe that a lot of content creation in the XR domain is exaggerated, made difficult. It's all about creating big experiences. We need at least 50,000 euros. It needs to be bigger. And I want to explain what we do with companies at Connec2 in a different way. And I'm not saying this is the way, this is a way, this is not suitable for every company, but we have a fair amount of clients and you see a lot of good stuff rolling out from that. Also, I talk from previous experiences, and I can say I've had a few. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, and it didn't start with Connec2. It started with a content creation studio called the Virtual Dutchman, and we did a lot of stuff. It all happened somewhere in 2012. I believe it was one of the 3 duct tape prototypes from Palmer Luckey that we were shown, and we get to try out with some special version of Doom 3. At Unite Amsterdam, which was the yearly event of Unite, which was physical at that time. Nowadays they all stream it. So we got to try the demo, and we were blown away. I mean, this was before Facebook acquired it. It was like really shaky. There was a tech demo of Doom 3, which was really nauseated. But I remember talking to my colleague Tim afterwards, and we're like, wow, this is gonna be special. This is gonna be huge. Hopefully. Little did we know what it went to. So, in 2012, August, I believe, the Kickstarter ended. And before it ended, me and my co-workers, I think, we got everybody on board. We got like 8 DK1s, and we wanted to do stuff with it. So what do you do with a DK1? Well, everybody remembers. You gotta make roller coasters. So, in terms of roller coasters, this was just a test demo of us, and it was picked up by a famous, at that time, talk show. And then Matthijs van Nieuwkerk tried out one of our test projects in which he put on the DK1 and got really nauseated, of course, of this roller coaster experience. Again, not proud of all these things, but there's so much you can do with so little pixels and only 3 DOF. So what happens with the Virtual Dutchman, actually, we did a lot of things. A lot of experiences, a lot of custom bespoke development for various clients. Each project, while they're bigger than the previous one, always starting from scratch, always going for new horizons. Not a meta horizon, but yeah, in the end, we could say it was quite a roller coaster. But it was a really cool, inspirational talk, and also a lot of demos at that time. I think it was during Oculus Connect 1 or 2, the event that they had in America, where I believe it was Michael Abresh. At that time he was chief scientist at Oculus VR, now Meta Reality Labs. And he said something really inspiring. He said, of course we had the internet, you know, everything happened then, but maybe it's not about this new immersive technology being the next communication platform. Maybe it's because of it becoming the last major step in communication. And that really got us thinking. Communication, it's normally not like this, me just putting words out there. It's more like more people. So what we did, I think it was around that time, I guess 2017, we made a prototype with the Rift, with 2 laptops. And we wanted to do like a one-on-one collaboration, but with the ability to put in your own assets inside this space. Because it doesn't need to be really complicated if you just want to discuss something in this new tech. A few moments later, it took a while, a lot of stuff happened, but as technology also progressed, We wanted to really remove barriers for people, machines and technology to work together with this tech. And that doesn't need to be a fully fledged experience each time. Sometimes it can just be this. You have a meeting, and then during the meeting you put on your headset, you discuss something because the spatial interaction is way more comprehensive and easier to understand things. You put them off and you continue. I'm not a firm believer of putting the headset on for hours and hours straight on, although I do it myself sometimes, but I don't really believe that's the use case right now in the state of how these headsets are. But that solution that companies can use this technology in such a way, like effortlessly for small things, also, I'm not just talking about our solution, it's also the solution in their company. Because if you look at that photograph on the right, it's really self-explanatory. You know what to do when you grow like a plant. You put the seed out there, a little bit of water, you're not going to flow 5 liters of water in there, expect next day to be a palm tree. So what we see, and those are my key takeaways with companies that successfully adopt this medium in such a way they create meaningful experiences themselves, is they really invest in time and people to get to know this tech and learn and understand the fundamentals. And I don't mean you need to know how the headset itself works. A lot of these things go into play on how to give a proper demo, how to explain something to each other, how to know what assets your company already uses that can be ingredients for such an experience. I mean, there's a ton of companies out there that have 3D assets, but they don't know how to use them. They just ask some development team, I need a 3D model, and then they get something that doesn't work because they don't know there's export settings. And it's not that hard, especially with AI, you can just really quickly, briefly get what you need. And also in some cases, like we've just seen, you can start big if there's tons of applications, but I'm talking like companies trying to implement these technology themselves for in-house developments and processes. Start small and scale up from success. Because if the solution is working and people are using it, people are going to ask for more headsets themselves. You don't need to start with a dozen headsets because we know from experiences in the past it will be difficult at some point. I mean, if you don't have a person available for it, you need to update them, recharge the batteries, etc. That will be a hassle if you start with a dozen of headsets. So to conclude, we firmly believe that sustainable XR adoption starts with people, grows through experience, and results in meaningful organizational impact. And just to showcase what our clients do, without explaining how they did it, if you're interested, you can go visit our booth at the expo over there. This is a company, Bouwmensen, and they teach carpenters to work on all kinds of projects in real life. But they have a problem nowadays that the students coming there, they lack some sort of, translation between 2D drawings and 3D workspaces. So how to interpret this assignment from a flat drawing in terms of how it will be in space. And they just made their own assignments that will incorporate people to learn faster. This is a company that sells flooring. But what you see here is these flooring samples are often really small, and sometimes you can get a better decision to have like a larger space filled with it, to get the color right or maybe the layout. And just with their own photos and things, they made like a really nice configurator so that they can showcase that to customers, and it really helps making great decisions. And again, this is all done in the same tool. We have a client Walraven. You saw the image of the meeting, but they also do it in exhibitions. They produce large technical installations, and they just saved over 20,000 euros because they didn't need to bring unnecessary products to the exhibition floor, and they had great customer engagement. Their clients or their competitors were coming up and saying, what are you guys doing with those visitors? I mean, they're bored out when they come to us because we only have stuff and it's like full and you can't move on our booth, and you guys have fun engagement and great leads. Also research. So together with Fraunhofer institutes across the other side of Holland near the University of Twente, we're doing research on how to interact with digital twinning two-way, so that you can actually move something in XR real time with the physical machine and vice versa. We have companies that need a lot of time for onboarding. So in this case, this company needs to onboard a lot of students each year, like 2,000, for milling machines. And they all need to learn the same basic instructions at the physical machine. And we just make a spatial anchor and we add some contextual instructions and they all can do it themselves now. And of course, training. In this case, it's a grid operator. They have a lot of things they do through text. And then at some point, they need to do it physically at the location in a training facility. But there's nothing in between. And this really fills in the gap to already drill some of these steps pre-hand in a virtual scene together. So basically what we say is, the value is that everyone can use XR as a medium to communicate ideas, knowledge, and experiences. And sometimes I believe it's made like really almost impossible to think that it can be done. But it's just like PowerPoint. I can use it to present here at Immersive Tech Week, and my daughter can use it to present something about Katy Perry in like second grade or whatever. That's it.
So thank you very much. I think we are very much on time. So thanks everybody for sticking. Please come here, Roy. So we wanted maybe to have an opportunity, like 5 minutes. If we can all stick around, then we have a bit of a longer break before the next session that is talking more about the story side of things. Nick maybe is not around. But do you have maybe any question right now? Maybe I better stand so that I can bring over the mic. Any questions for you to speak? Because I do have one. And one of the questions I have is that usually we think about, when we think about scaling, right? And let's say going broader within an organization, we tend to scaling the POC, for example. But what about scaling horizontally to other department? Because I imagine, for example, defense is huge, right? So what is your experience in expanding not just use cases within a department, but expanding horizontally to other organizations or teams within the same organization? Is that something that you have, let's say, any advice or any experience that you could share, either positive or negative?
Yeah, both in the past. So, for instance, what we did at the Bouwmensen, they're now using it at like 20 locations. We just did one location right, and then we taught the trainer. So the other locations weren't explained by me, but one of their colleagues, which was like in his 50s, almost 60s, but he was so engaging and he could explain it in his words that his colleagues could interpret it much better than if I would talk about spatial anchoring and whatnot. It would work. So really, you have to let it flow it from within the organization. You don't need to push tech from outside. It has to be a solution that works. So that's the good part. And then, of course, the other way around is that people are so enthusiastic at the start. Oh, we're gonna start big. We got a budget. We're gonna start big. You always need to temper that. Not that we don't want their money, but I know it will be a problem. Again, the first time I did a client with over 40 headsets, I was ecstatic. I thought, oh, now it's gonna happen. And then the client said, are you gonna make them? You gonna fix them? Yeah, sure. Let them deliver them at our address. And then like this UPS truck came. And the boxes came, and the boxes came, and they came. And then I was like, oh, how do I do this? I think it took me like the first time 2 days. I was in the area of, in the time of Oculus for Business. I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but that was like a real pain in the ass to get up, setting up right. Yeah, that's why I start small.
Well, to conclude to that as well, I agree to you, because you have to start small and you have to make the successes speak for themselves. So when you start with one department, the other one learns about it, hears about it, and then it starts flowing by itself. But in especially defense, we cannot simply wait. We use internal events as well to showcase what we already done for other departments within defense to make it visible. But I would also say start small. Don't buy in big with headsets as well. You have to train and coach people as well. So sometimes customers comes to us and wants a big solution with A to Z. And I say, let's start with A to B. And then when we have finished that, we can do upgrades afterwards. We can add on to that and add on to that. Because then the teachers also have an easy setup and start working with it without being it overwhelming.
I think that remark, they from A to Z start from A to B, that's really interesting because what happens like 99 times out of 100 is people got tons of great ideas what to do in this tech. I mean, they know their business, they know their trade, oh, I can do this. But 99 of those ideas are like the most terrible ideas to start with. I'm not saying it is bad ideas.
Also sometimes to end with.
Exactly.
Because once we had an idea, the customer came to us, they want to have the training all done in VR. So no personal training anymore, but they want to have everything in VR, including programming on a keyboard, like codes and so on, because they had to send radio codes from the laptop to the device. And that's a terrible idea when you do that in VR with just one finger. You have to click everything, and it's cumbersome, and it's very easy to press the incorrect button. So you have to train your customer as well.
Any other question here? I think we have maximum one, depending on how lengthy is the answer, I suppose. But let's hear it first.
Or the lengthy question. Yes, I created a tool within the company, which is a configuration tool for AV products, which is mainly developed to help customers understand what we are telling them. So yeah, you can tell them about FOVs, about cameras, technical details, but the customer just wants a solution for, in our use case, great meeting rooms with great sound and great camera quality. So I use AR mixed reality to enhance that, to skip technical details and just show big domes of the range of a microphone, etc., to make it easy to understand, to bring the customer on the level of the salesperson or the advisor. And now the tool is there, it does everything that sales wants and what the customer needs, but still I noticed a lot of, I would say it, hesitation to use the tool, even though the board said this is the way to go and we need this and we know that it will make the customer journey better, save time which saves money, etc. But still I noticed maybe it's a certain demographic of people, but I still find it very difficult to bring them over, to leap over to use the tool instead of doing what they're already doing for 30 years. And are there tips, maybe?
Well, that's a very difficult question. I see that a lot in defense as well, because we have trainers that I don't exaggerate when I say there are still some classrooms with chalkboards on the wall, and the trainers are used to doing it that way. But the most important thing in those kind of cases is try to speak their language, try to engage with those kind of people as well. Try to get them involved in your process as early as possible. We had one trainer, for example, in a meeting, and that was during COVID, so we were in a big circle talking about the project, and he said, I don't need it. Why do I have to do this? Because my predecessor started this project, I don't want it, so just stop with it. In the car I immediately called his manager and made him work with us. That's the advantage in defense, of course. But when we came over and we followed their study, because we always say we want to know how you teach your students before we can make it in VR. So we came over and we started talking his language in half an hour. The next day when we came back, he was a complete different person. Afterwards, when we delivered that project, he went over to another part of defense and he started 3 new VR projects there as well. So we done 4 projects with him when he initially said he didn't want any of it. So try to ease them in.
Yeah, and also manage expectations. This is a highly disruptive technology. I mean, imagine putting out a computer for the first time with internet and saying we're not going to fax tomorrow anymore, everybody's going to email. I mean, it needs time. It needs a lot of time. People think it's like really scary at some point. Well, it's not. Like you said, there's a lot of age difference maybe from the people that are hesitant. They're like, oh, I've been here like working here for 30 years, why do I have to use this now? So I would reckon there's probably something that can be done if giving them more time to adjust and try it out, but make sure the organization creates that time. Because if it's just between coffee breaks and events and, oh, try it out now, that will always be the case, is my opinion. And it will also help you to just not get one person exciting within the company. It needs to be more, especially with the new people getting inside companies. They just stay for 2-3 years. If that's the only guy that's interested in this tech or girl, I mean, it's not going to fly, obviously.
So I suppose Bart will be here around to answer any other questions that you guys might have. I would strongly suggest to get a bit of fresh air and then came back for more talks. From this time, we're going to move away from technology a little bit more into storytelling, so we have a nice change of pace. Thanks everybody. Thanks for everybody who was on stage.
Thank you.